Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to another video from the Wisdom of the Stars series. And here I'm really excited to talk about all the archetypes of the Divine Goddess, because so often in the spiritual traditions what we see is this description of the Divine Mother, of this Mother Goddess that is only purity and grace, and that's all there is. And we know that this is in spiritual scriptures, especially through religion, it's represented as the Virgin Mother, the Virgin Mary. But what we tend to forget is that in true nature of the living force of the Goddess, the Holy Spirit that comprises all life, that creates everything, has many aspects and faces. The first thing I'm guided to share here is nature. Think of nature. What are the basic forces of nature? Because Holy Spirit is always directly represented in nature. So in nature what we see is we have growth, we have this beauty of creation, we have almost like a divine creativity, which is the creative aspect of the Divine Mother. And then what we see is sometimes this force can also be destructive, right? And we say, wow, natural catastrophes happen, this is destructive. Oh, bad nature, bad, because it's punishing us. And this is what we often like to think, which is very limited, of course. It lacks true understanding of the principles of creation. But in terms of ignorance, we still like to forget that even that is a part of divinity. So let's say something is extremely off balance, that the nature just rebalances it. And it sometimes does that through destruction. And we also know that a lot of times, even in ancient traditions, there were always goddesses. These were just archetypes of the divine essences represented to what we call as gods and goddesses. And we have a name for that, for example, the goddess Kali, the destroyer. And that destruction actually prepares the ground for the new. And sometimes we really forget that when we're a human being living here in this plane, experiencing creation, we also in a way are awakening all these principles of our divinity. We have these three main types of the goddess. And not just for whether we are male or female, it doesn't matter, because even a male awakens its own inner divine feminine. But let's say there's three main archetypes for the divine masculine and then for the divine feminine. Sometimes we also, you know, the basic principle we always say is the Divine Mother, Father, and Child. But when we move further into deeper understanding of creation itself, let's move, because this video is only focused on the goddess, the principle of all life in creation and how it moves and then how it moves through us. Because when we activate all these main archetypes within us, then we're one with creation. Then we become life itself. So what I want to share here is a bit deeper, because I don't just want to speak about qualities, like you're nurturing, you're passionate, you know, in this kind of way. But what Spirit showed me is that deeper reverence to awaken the primal essences of the Divine Mother. We know that as the Virgin Mother, the Divine Mother, and we know this in ourselves as the quality that is, you're always pure, you're pure. And everything you do, people will perceive you as pure, graceful. And sometimes they will, because they won't always understand it, if you are only in this pure essence, they will sometimes even abuse it, or they will take advantage of it, because they haven't sometimes met the space yet. And they come to you as children coming to the mother, and of course you are not their mother, but yet that divine goddess within you expresses itself this way. And then on another level you have what I would say is this playful, creative. Sometimes we call this the maiden aspect, the playful nature of divine creativity, your inner child, your magical child, which is also part of the goddess. It's how she actually, with divine insight and creativity, brings everything into fruition, into blossoming, into also physical existence, recreating things on a level that is purely divine, always creating through grace. And when you have that, you can be very playful and joyful and radiant, and people sometimes are just magnetized to this because it is so developed within you. And I've noticed that these two archetypes are mostly dominant in terms of how much we embody them. But there's a third archetype that we like to, it's not that empowered in women yet. Because why are all the advantages of women taking place? Why there's so much violation against women? Why there's so much disputes on that level? And so much of that male lack of respect towards the divine feminine? Why was that aspect so hidden from us? And almost sometimes because it was so misunderstood, because there's great fear of this aspect of the feminine, because it has the power as well as to create, to destroy. But not in a self-destructive way. That's not the same thing. To through egoic senses, then you actually just distort things and make them crass and actually engage in self-destruction and destructions of others and what they're doing. But what I'm talking about is that this force is the force that is so raw and untamed that it can do anything. And this was the aspect that was feared for so long, especially in the religious dogmatic perspectives. And that's why women who embodied this very strongly, they were pushed aside, or they were seen as prostitutes and things like that. They were very much ridiculed, because this aspect is so strong that the dominant male, the distorted male as well, because that wasn't the divine male energy working through, was actually fearing that power. And we often call that the Black Madonna. Maybe you've heard before of the Lilith, the archetype of Lilith who rebelled. You know, she didn't just want to be pure, and then she rebelled. There's also an archetype called Inanna, and she's known as Venus, who went through almost like the Aphrodite archetype, the aspect of Venus, that went into the underworld to become more discerning, more empowered, and then she emerged again. It's like the Venus archetype once again. So let's say you have a feminine that is so pure, she's the nurturer, she's a caretaker, and then one day she realizes, I'm not just that, you know, and as well as she's creative, and you know, we activate that as well. There's something else missing. And the only reason why there's so much abuse happening is because on a general collective level, women, and let's say those male specimens who actually are in that, but they're not really so much empowered in it yet, is that they are still allowing it. They're allowing this part to be hidden within them. They say, I'm too nice, I'm too pure, I'm not going to invoke this part of me. And that's actually the archetype that is most needed if you want to become your whole magician self. If you want to work with soul alchemy, then you need all these parts of you. So you would say, if the woman is revered as the mother, and then as the beautiful maiden, the child, she also needs to be seen as the high priestess. So this is that Black Madonna archetype, the woman who rebels against that which wished to contain her in just this. That is not the whole mirage image of the completeness of the creative force of all life and the Holy Spirit. So when we say, wow, white is beautiful, white is pure, white is purity, white is the white mother flame, yes, but white is all colors as well. So the black, working with the black and with the archetype of the moon, as you know, the moon is also a lot of times represented with a high priestess energy. That's working with the hidden, and a lot of times that hidden is that raw power of the womb. You know, the sacred feminine principle is the womb. And the womb is that which is devoid, it's unknown. And sometimes we're afraid of that. We're afraid of that raw power that has the potential to kind of come out. Also, like, we like to fear black holes because we know there's an immense gravitational pull there in black holes. So we're so afraid of that. And yet they give birth to many new forms of creation. So what's really taking place is, if we want to activate our inner magician self, we need to activate the Black Madonna, the black goddess, so to say. But it's not in terms of black as you might feel negative, you know, oh, darkness, nothing to do with that. Black means the void. As you look out into the space, most of the cosmos is dark and void, and you say, wow, that's that kind of blackness, that kind of aspect. But I want to share an example here with you, is that, let's say, I'm going to give just a representation. All of your life you were embodying just one aspect of you, and you felt your job is to be almost like humble, more in the sense of be others tell you what to do. You're not your own self-independent, totally free being. You were easily put into the structures and ways of others, and that you are to be tamed and to be liked and seen for how others might have wanted you. Because I meet a lot of men who say, wow, I like this in a goddess, she's so beautiful, she shines. But that part I don't like. Often men fear this raw power in a woman because they haven't yet activated in themselves. And women, if they're not courageous enough to put that energy outside of themselves and embody the dark goddess as well, which is that, which has these healthy boundaries. It's that which puts you in a position of being your own sovereign self. And that part, once activated, it's so powerful. So what took place is, as I was getting this guidance, a friend of mine, a close friend, she had a dream of me being full of this rage, and I was throwing bricks. And I'm not really an angry person or anything like this, so we were thinking what this could be. And then I thought, wow, just before going to bed that night, I had this black Madonna came to me, and Spirit usually gives me clues with words. And I'm like, of course, that's the archetype now my soul really is encouraging me to embrace. But it's also happening on a collective level. And this is what will move us into this new age, because the power of the divine feminine is returning. That is not to be confused with just power of the women. There's also men who are embodying the sacredness of the living Holy Spirit. And like I said, it's not gender related, but a lot of times I do notice that maybe females, because they are inhabiting female bodies, they sometimes have it more easier to embody this, and then they're showing the way to the whole as well. So it's really important on that note to know what is awakening within us, to gather all this wholeness of all the archetypes of the great divine mother. So she's pure, she's full of grace, almost like you would say she's angelic. Then she's creative, she's playful, she's magical. She knows how to play and to create and to enjoy life and to be surrounded by beauty. And then there's an aspect that knows when somebody maybe will cross that and things are not in alignment or in balance, she will right the scales again, and she will do so through inner discernment, through inner priest self, through inner magician, through the void of that which will show her true clarity. And to receive within the new. Sometimes that will include destruction, but it's not a destruction of self-destructive way. It's a healthy destruction so that the new can be reborn. Like it's happening on the planet right now. The old systems are dying because they're not supportive of sustaining the always living flow of life, of all life in creation, the Holy Spirit. And when we do, we feel in ourselves this almost like this relief, because we're free. And we know that others, when we embody all these aspects, won't just come to us because we're pure, because we're so creative, we feel so magical, we feel so different or mystical, or they will come if they come because we will give a space of offering to be invited. They won't even invade our space when we embody all these archetypes and all of this strength. Because that void, the feminine principle is power, it's that strength. And it's really important to work with all these foundations, because they are the foundation of our new reality that we're creating in wholeness, not a lack of thereof. And parts of us that were kept in ignorance and pushed away for so long. So what this, in a way, what it means is that what I've seen is, remember that scene in Lord of the Rings movie when Gandalf, the great wizard, he's a white wizard too, he's white. But when he needs to almost like pull up those healthy boundaries, he has this rage. I call this divine rage. It's not anger. It's not physical kind of level anger. But he channels such a raw force that he almost produces that voice, which is that, whoa, and everybody's like, whoa, gosh, what is this? What's taking place here? And that is so powerful. And somebody says at that moment, wow, he's speaking of that ancient dark language, which is not even, used anymore. It's because it just came through. That aspect also came through. It's also an aspect of creation. And when something was almost like trying to be violated from the outside, it wasn't right. Something like that instantly put the scales right back into the perspective. And it wasn't dark in that sense, but it did come from that raw potential, and that is that black Madonna, what it represents. And why it was so pushed aside, well, you be the judge. And not everybody wants for the whole to be empowered and to be whole and to know their true power. And when you can really embody all these aspects of you, you will finally become free to do what you desire, to be no longer playing the roles, but to embody the perfection of the living matrix of creatrix, of course, of all creation. That is organic. It's organic. It's not imposed by external structures or authorities. And you will remember that you are your own authority. So I remember that night I was invoking that black priestess, that dark black Madonna in me, the power to say no sometimes, the power to set healthy boundaries, the power to say at this time I will not engage in that. This is where I begin and this is where I end. Or, you know, this is where another person is not invited in my field. And this is very important for this time when there's so much coming at us almost sometimes, that we learn to utilize and live the power of all the three main archetypes of the goddess. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you have more questions, you can even recommend a topic for a next star Wisdom of the Stars video series. And I'll see you in the next update. So take care as always. So much love, wisdom, and power. And remember, Divine Trinity is your sacred gateway to wholeness. Take care. Bye-bye.